Hi, my name is Jake Phillips. I'm talking about the Syrian topic again. I've argued from the negative, and everything they're going to say is crap. Just to say. The absence of U.S. military strategy contributes significantly to the humanitarian crisis. Now, to address this first issue, we are helping immensely in the area of humanitarian aid. The U.S. has made significant contributions. We have given $4 billion in total. We've given $2 billion inside of Syria, $792 million inside of Lebanon, which is the highest per capita refugee hosting country in the world, 165 in Iraq. Now, this is important because the Kurdistan regional government hosts 96% of the Syrian refugees. Also to mention, the Kurds are a non-religious group, so it's easier for a democratic transition in Syria. Now, we go to the different countries that the U.S. has enabled. We've enabled Turkey and we've enabled Saudi Arabia, making them major contributors to the refugee crisis. However, the absence of U.S. military strategy has contributed to Iran becoming a major power broker in the Middle East. According to Ray Takei from the CFR, Iran has entered the 21st century in an enviable position and now has emerged as a leading power of the Middle East, whereby its preferences and predilections have to be taken into consideration as the region contemplates its future. I will talk about why Iranian influence is negative in this region later in my speech. U.S. influence has little to no effect on Iranian policy, so anything that we try to do does not matter. They have their own agenda as we do ours. U.S. efforts to coordinate allied activities and to shape Iranian behavior are particularly unlikely to succeed, according to Daniel Bynum of National Interests. U.S.-backed opposition have proven to be successful. Now, these are the democratic forces in Syria. To quote Robert S. Ford and Ali El Yasser, as of March 13, 2015, local governance institutions have already taken over administrations of such elements as education, health, security, judicial systems, as well as trade and business. Now, education is a huge issue. We are talking about Syrian students. I believe the number is about 2 million Syrian students who are out of school. You're talking about an uneducated public, making it more likely for ISIS recruitment, making it more likely for them to adopt extreme and radical beliefs. Now, the moderate Syrian opposition is effective at governing. There has been examples of this. According to Daniel Sorer at the Middle East Institute, Syrians in many opposition-controlled areas have already established forms of governance, including more than 400 local administrative councils, plus 9 at the provincial level. Second, Western funding over the last 4 years has generated a wide array of externally based but Syrian-staffed non-governmental organizations. Third, the local administrative councils and non-governmental organizations are receiving significant support for Western donors and meeting tough requirements for accountability and transparency. So, these non-governmental organizations that we are donating to are incredibly transparent, meaning that we can see into them, there's nothing corrupt going on, they're easier to control and be backed by the U.S. Policy. Now, to look at why the lack of troops causes regional instability. Now, we're going to look at U.S. withdrawal from Iraq in 2011 and how it caused a power vacuum. Now, withdrawal of U.S. troops caused a power vacuum. Now, evidence of this, I got most of this from a PBS Frontline special on losing Iraq. On December 14, 2011, the U.S. pulled out of Iraq. 4,000 Iraqi Sunnis were killed and 30,000 were injured. This also led to the consolidation of Shiite government and states, putting Sunnis in a subservient state. Sunnis struck back, and so the Islamic State was formed. They also captured Fallujah, Ramadi, and Mosul. This is significant because Iran, Lebanon, and let's just stick with those two to make it easy. Iran and Lebanon are predominantly Shia governments. Now, when you look at Turkey, when you look at Saudi Arabia, when you look at Egypt, these are all Sunni nations. And with the expanse of a Shia government, you have increased tension and sectarian warfare. The absence of U.S. troops caused instability. Now, decreased military presence led to the insurgency. That is a proven fact in Iraq, and that is how we have this degradation of the Middle East as we know it. Now, the lack of troops has caused increased Iranian involvement, and as I've explained, this not only caused sectarian warfare, but Iran is also spreading a very malign influence throughout the Middle East. We're talking Syria, we're talking Iraq, we're talking lower parts, southern parts of Turkey. Now, Iran has made substantial contributions of material and manpower, reportedly including 2 brigades of voluntary Revolutionary Guard units and large number of guard officers. Now we're going to look at their relation to Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. Iran bankrolls Hezbollah about $200 million, which is why you can see Iran is a negative influence in the area. Analysts estimate that Iran and Hezbollah are marshaling several thousand fighters in the support of the Assad regime. The Assad regime is a foul regime that has killed many, many people. Now, we're going to look at why Russian intervention is a farce. Woo, I burned through a lot of time. So, 85 to 90% of Russian strikes have been hitting moderate Syrian opposition groups. This is in direct contrast to U.S. policy and is unbeneficial to the Syrian conflict. Now, Russian airstrikes have been offensive. According to Deborah Lee James, actually Secretary of the Air Force, they use predominantly dumb bombs. These are civilian killers and completely ineffective. Russian intervention hurts more than it helps. According to Secretary of Defense Ash Carter said on December 27th in a Senate Armed Committee, Putin's intervention will likely galvanize the opposition against Moscow's policy in Syria and breed more extremism. Putin may well be understanding the means and terms. Now, to touch very briefly, an overwhelming majority of Americans believes that we should have boots on the ground. A recent Pew study shows that 60% of people disapprove of Obama's policy in Syria, and 2/3 disagree with his handling of the Islamic State. Thank you.